I'm getting married in about 2 months and I'm doing my own bridal makeup. So this is going to be trial number 1 for my bridal makeup, and today we are doing like a rosy kind of pinkish look. This is going to be the inspo. I'll put them up over here. This is kind of what I'm going for, so let's get into it. I've already prepped my skin, so I'm just starting off by filling in my eyebrows. I feel like eyebrows are such an important feature because they just add structure to your face and really give it a nice frame. Eyebrows are filled in. They are a little bit dark and heavy and thick, but that is just how I like them. And then I'm just going to set them in place with some eyebrow gel. I do not want these babies to move all day. So not only is this like a trial for what kind of makeup I want, like if I want a more rosy pink look or if I want like a more bronze look, but also for products because I have like a couple different foundations and concealers that I'm between that I want to use. So this is also going to help me do a wear test and just see like what looks better throughout the day. So I'm just prepping my eyelids with some concealer because we are going to do eyes first. So for this rosy kind of pink look, I have 2 palettes that I'm going to be going between. I have this Morphe Sunrise Glow palette, and I have this Charlotte Tilbury pink palette as well. I've pretty much always known I wanted to do my own bridal makeup. I just love doing makeup in general, and nobody knows my face as well as I do and what I like. So it was just kind of a no-brainer. I just felt like I wasn't sure if I was ever going to be happy enough with someone else doing it than how I do my own makeup. So liking where this is going so far, I'm going to take this deeper kind of pinky brown shade and keep this lower kind of on this outer corner of my eye here. You can be messy, that's why we're doing eyes first, so we can clean it up afterwards. And we're just going in with a little bit at a time to kind of build that color up. All right, this is looking good. Next I'm going to go on with a little bit of this brown pencil eyeliner, and this is just going to go kind of on the outer 2/3 of my eye, and I'm going to keep it really nice and tight to my lash line. And then with a super tiny little brush, I'm going to take some brown eyeshadow and just kind of stamp it over that line and smoke it out a little bit. And then I am going to try and attempt to do like a little shadow wing and wing it out. I'm not very good at this, so we'll see how it goes. This is where we're at. I think they look pretty good. I think they're pretty even. You'll have to let me know. I'm just going to take that same brown liner and tight line underneath my lashes. I'm just going to do a little bit of a pinky champagne shimmer and just tap that onto my lid, basically just in this inner part of my eye. And I'm going to take a light, super light eyeshadow, go right underneath my brow bone just to highlight that a little bit. I'm going to throw on a little bit of a half lash. I'm not going to film it because I'm terrible at it, but I'll be right back. Lashes are on. What do we think? They're a bit longer than I thought they were, so hopefully they don't cover up like too much of my eyes, but I love a big, long, fluffy lash. So 2 foundations that I'm kind of in between two for my wedding foundation. One is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. The other one is the Lancome Teint Idole foundation. I think we're going to try out this one today just to see how it wears throughout the day and how it looks with everything put together. I'm going to add some of this e.l.f. putty primer just in my T-zone where I do have some pretty big pores, hoping I can kind of fill those in and make them less noticeable on my wedding day. I ended up mixing the 2 shades of foundation that I have to hopefully get a nice shade match. It does look a little light, but since this is a matte foundation, it is going to oxidize and get a little bit darker. I'm going to take a nice thin layer. The whole thing about wedding foundation and getting your makeup to last all day is working in thin layers. We're going to be layering products, and that is why it is so important to prep your skin to hold on to all that makeup. I've got it all spread out kind of on my face. I'm going to take a damp sponge and just start tapping it in. And I am avoiding right under my eye because I'm going to be putting concealer there. And because that skin under your eye is so thin, it's really prone to creasing and looking cakey. So we are avoiding too many layers under the eye. And always bring it down the neck. If you have your hair up, you're gonna want your ears covered so everything matches. I'm gonna be adding some color to my face. So I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. I'm just gonna do a couple dots right here under my cheekbone. And again, this stuff dries really fast, so I'm going to blend it out immediately before even putting any product onto other places on my face. I want to look so snatched and chiseled on my wedding day, so that's why I'm going with more of a contour right now instead of a bronzer. I also kind of want the blush and the pink tones to be the star of the show. And I'm also going to be adding some onto my forehead. So I'm just going to pull these little hairs back and go right on that perimeter of my forehead. And then make sure we are blending this back into the hairlines. For blush, I'm going in with my tried and true Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, and this is the shade Encourage. I feel like this is such a slept-on shade from the Rare Beauty blushes, but I do 2 dots right above my contour bronzer, and I take another brush, and I just start patting it in. Alright, I know that looks like a lot of blush, but I love it. So we're moving on to concealer. The 2 I'm kind of in between for my wedding concealer are the Hourglass Vanish Concealer and the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. Today I think we are going to do the Natasha Denona one. And I just take a little bit where I have some darkness and want to brighten under my eyes here. And then a little bit to lift up there. My forehead, teensy bit on my nose, and my chin. For concealer, I don't want to put it too high up underneath my eyes because again, the skin is so thin and it's prone to creasing. So I like to start it down here and then bring it up when I'm blending it out, if that makes sense. I'm just going to start patting it out with a brush. I like to use a brush for my concealer so that I can keep it exactly where I put it. If I start blending it out with a beauty sponge, it will kind of just go everywhere. And so again, for the concealer, I'm just tapping it out exactly where I put it. And then slowly bringing just a little bit up under my eye. And then over here, we are going right underneath that little shadowing we made earlier and bringing it up. I have some extra, so I'm going to bring it over on the sides of my nose and kind of blending our concealer into our blush. All right, there's one side blended out. Next, we are going to start in with our powders, and powders can be scary because no one wants to look super powdery, but it is key to making your makeup last, and it's my wedding day, so I need this to last all day. I'm starting off with a brush and the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, taking a bunch, working it into the brush, and then I'm going to tap under my eyes where I put that concealer. And then I'm going to tap other places I put the concealer where I get oily, so around my chin and my nose, and then in the middle of my forehead here. Now that everything's lightly set, we're really going to bake the under eyes. So I'm taking the One Size Pink powder and I'm mixing it with my Laura Mercier translucent, working it into a puff, tapping it off, working it into my hand, and just going to ever so lightly tap right under my eyes and kind of along the sides of my nose and my mouth. Now again, because wedding makeup, making your makeup last all day is about layering, we are going to layer some powder products over our cream, blush, and bronzer. So this is the Haus Labs bronzer. And I'm going to tap this wherever I put my cream blush or cream bronzer earlier. Just going to tap and lightly swirl, not to mess up anything underneath. For blush, I'm using my favorite one of all time. This is a really pinky blush. This is the shade Pink Tease from Estee Lauder. I'm just going to tap it into, work it into a brush, tap off excess, and put it right where we put our cream blush earlier. Blush is the first thing to fade, so if you think it's a lot of blush now, it'll fade, and you really want your colors, like your blush and your bronzer, to show up in your pictures, so it's okay to go more heavy-handed with those, because photography, especially like flash photography, will wash you out. Alright, we are going to get rid of any powderiness and lock this all in with some setting spray. This is one from Charlotte Tilbury. And then I just like to take my sponge and just kind of tap everything in again. I'm just going to add a little bit of my pinks from earlier, and then this is just going to go right underneath my eye to tie everything together. I just did a little bit of a lip combo. Here is my first ever finished bridal makeup trial. Let me know what you think. I am open to all comments and suggestions, so please let me know, and there will be more, so stay tuned for that. If you're still here, thank you for watching. And that's it. All right, bye.